Welcome to the show. Brock Page here, random sports picks for fun. We finally made it. Two best teams in baseball will face off in the World Series. Astros at the Dodgers. Not sure how much public interest we'll get in this game. Certainly Los Angeles is a huge booming sports market. Houston is as well. There's just a small part of me that thinks that a Yankees-Cubs matchup would have been absolutely great for the game, great for the sport, great for ratings. But overall, like I said, we have ourselves the absolute two best teams in the sport, and we really should see some quality baseball in the 2017 World Series. Speaking of quality, we've got ourselves a great matchup on the bump in World Series Game 1. Just about as good as it gets. I'm talking about Keuchel taking on Kershaw. But before we get into that matchup, let's go ahead and take a look at the only thing that matters, and that's the sports betting lines. Once again, Houston opens up at the LA Dodgers for Game 1 of the World Series Tuesday night. We have ourselves an 8 o'clock Eastern first pitch at Dodger Stadium. The betting in this one opened up with the Dodgers as the $1.55 moneyline favorites and the total at an even 7 runs. If you're new to sports betting, Los Angeles is essentially the 3-2 favorites to win this one outright. Therefore, a $155 bet would yield you $100 of cold hard cash if the Dodgers should win the game. And when I refer to the total, I'm strictly talking about the projected total runs scored between both teams playing in the game. Once again, Dodgers opened 155 on the money line with the total at an even 7 runs. Since the betting opened up, however, we've seen a good amount of that early money come pouring in on the LA Dodgers to get the job done. Since the betting lines were released, the LA Dodgers are now laying $1.70 on the money line, with the total moving downward to a sparse 6.5 runs. Once again, if you're new to sports betting, the public money influences the odds and numbers on these betting lines, so the bookmakers have the closest thing to a 50-50 even split distribution of what sides people are betting on. Once again, LA opened 155, now 170. Total opened 7, now 6.5. Currently, Houston gets a run and a half on the run line. That's essentially the standard point spread in baseball. Pitching matchup in this one, once again, Dallas Keuchel for the Astros, Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. LA's gone an absolutely absurd, ridiculously unheard of 26-4 in their games when Clayton Kershaw makes a start. Once again, out of the 30 games Kershaw started on the bump, Los Angeles has won nearly 90% of them. Those numbers just don't make sense in the game of baseball. That said, don't forget about these Astros, as they've garnered themselves some pretty good success under Keuchel. Houston's an impressive 18-8 in their games when Dallas Keuchel makes the start for an equally impressive win percentage of nearly 70%. Either way, both hurlers give these ball clubs their best opportunity to win a ball game. Speaking of winning ball games, the Houston Astros have certainly done that a lot this year. This Houston ball club has won 63% of their games overall, including postseason. They've also won a solid 63% of their games on the road this year. Championship baseball teams get the job done while traveling. In addition to all of the aforementioned, the Astros are winning an impressive 64% of their games versus teams over 500. All said and done, if you're leaning toward the Astros, you certainly have a case for your wager. Pleasantries aside, here's where I see some trouble areas if you're leaning toward the Houston side in this one. The Astros have struggled going in the games as the official Vegas underdog. Houston's won just 13 of 28 games, catching positive juice for a win percentage of just .464 in that category. They're also winless in their 3 games that went off at the current money line odds. In addition to all that, Houston's won just 10 of 23 games as the official Vegas underdog away from home. That puts them at a win percentage of just .435 as the official road underdog. All in all, if you're liking the money line odds on Houston to win it outright, it certainly comes with some concerns. Now, if you're betting sides and you're leaning toward the Dodgers in Game 1, I really don't know how I could talk you out of this one. LA's won 67% of their games overall this year, including the playoffs. And speaking of playoffs, LA's gone a dominant 9-2 in playoff games this postseason. Hell, there was a period of time where they literally won 8 straight in these National League series. You want to talk about getting hot at the right time. I think they're doing it. Now, numbers-wise, these figures are really leaning in your favor if you're betting the Dodgers. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. When playing at home, both regular season and postseason, the Dodgers are a staggering 61-24 in those games. Literally, LA's won 72% of their games in the friendly confines of Dodger Stadium. They're also winning an impressive 67% of their games as the official Vegas favorite. And believe me, they played a lot of games as the favorite this year. And if you're a numbers guy, more specifically, the Dodgers have gone 22-12 in their games at the current money line odds. And to top it all off, if you really want to feel good about betting sides here, this LA team has won a staggering 73% of their ball games as the official home favorite. All in all, the case for both ball clubs to win it can certainly be made. And a lot of these numbers I just ripped off for you are absolutely remarkable on both sides. Now, when it comes to the scoring and the total, we've seen a lot of the early money in the sports books move that number down to a very low 6.5 run total. You don't see that too often, but what you do see often are these Kershaw games with extremely low totals. It's very consistent. I don't think I've seen one game Kershaw started this season with a total over 8 runs. But regardless, I've said this all year round, that low total always accounts for Kershaw's dominance on the mound, but never accounts for the Dodgers' ability to put up runs. More specifically, I normally say that the Dodgers could put this one over the total themselves. Regardless, when it comes to the scoring, if you're an under bettor in this one, you're certainly justified. Now, Dodger games have gone 3-1 to the unders in their last 4. They held Chicago to an average of just 1.5 runs per game in those 4 contests. Meanwhile, on the other side, very similar story for Houston games, as they're 2-1 to the unders in their previous 3 themselves. They held the Yankees to just 1 run in the final 2 games of that series. All in all, the case for under bettors once again can certainly be made. That said, I'm going to disagree with the betting public on this one. Like I said, the Dodgers are very capable of putting this one over themselves. They're averaging 7 runs of scoring per game in their last 3 victories alone. Houston's averaged 5 runs of scoring per contest in 3 of their last 4 themselves. Call me sharp money or just crazy and clueless, I don't care. But when it comes to the scoring, I think this one gets over the 6.5. And when it comes to selecting a winner, I just cannot go against the 26 wins the Dodgers accrued in games where Kershaw made the start on the bump this season. Seriously, out of 30 starts, the Dodgers won 26 games, whether he finished or not. I cannot, in good conscience, go against that number. All told, I like the over 6.5 and the LA Dodgers winning this one outright for some money line cash. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. But before I get out of here, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free, and free ain't good. And for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, and most important, have fun. For Brock Page Productions, I'm Brock Page, and have yourself a positive day.